Alright, so I just thought I'd just quickly explain some of these things since I suck at text insertion. So this is a shot of an idea that I had. I wanted to do an 8-man party. Now, this being Stormblood, I couldn't use the other idea I had, which was Nidhogg. I just didn't feel like that would be sensible given that I wanted to make sure this was relevant to the current expansion. So this drawing is my doodle on the computer, and you can kind of see where I was thinking about the figures and the placement, and I had a couple of ideas. I knew who I wanted to use. I wanted to use two of my characters as the model reference, but then I had like random cat and dead in the back, a potato healer, a dead tank in the front, and a dragoon because you always have a dead dragoon, and samurai because samurai is one of the iconic classes of this expansion. So the next step was to actually do pencil sketches on paper. I scanned them all in and set them up. And here you can see that they have ended up in sort of being placed, and some of the figures did change. I had an idea of wanting to do actually adding a few more friends. There's actually a scholar that I know, my favorite little Lala, and a cat bard or cat DPS who just deserves to die because she licks everything in my FC. So I made a dead bard and put her on the floor. And then the other characters I wanted to round out with racial diversity. So I picked, well, what's kind of missing? Of course, the Aura, the Elozen, and I love Rose's classic tank. So I wanted to have him to offset the little guy. And then I was thinking about what is fun and what is Final Fantasy. And I said, of course, let's have another Mikode. Now, one of the difficulties here is that these costumes, I made a decision to use artifact gear, and artifact gear, you know, we blew through these really fast during the expansion. Like, we went from these to the Alamegan gear, but I love these costumes, and I felt like they weren't appreciated enough. So, okay, I said everyone's going to end up in artifact gear. Of course, that was easier said than done. These things are bitches to draw. These are difficult to draw. And so you can see I started to take that line art and just flush it out further. A lot of times what happens is you end up redoing all the lines. You don't actually are not able to just take in the drawing because the way I paint is to build on the pencil, not to build under. So in these last couple of slides, I just want to point out that even when you finish with putting down the flat color, that there's a need to think about lighting and effects. So you saw in the very first sketch I had some placeholders for feathers, and actually we spent a lot of time asking two of my friends to help me look at the limit break of a white mage and how it works. For the purposes of this picture, those feathers actually are part of the middle of the animation. And usually what you see is kind of this radiating pulse of life. As they say, the yellow healing light moves outward in a circle from a radius. So that's kind of what I tried to depict here. And it moves outward, and as it completes, you kind of see the feathers dispersing that energy, and you see the healer bow. So this being before or imminent, decided to depict her this way, but I took a bit of artistic license and decided to use the feathers because I think that's characteristic of the classic white mage in this game. Anyways, the last part of the step is really just adjusting the lighting and painting details. One of the things you could notice if you were paying attention is that some of the earlier versions of the samurai do not have her scabbard. And her scabbard finally appears later because I realized it was missing, and it needed to also be additionally painted because it's actually a very detailed snake sort of scabbard there with both pearl and gold highlights. And so this is where I ended up. Had I made a decision, I could not come to a decision on whether to include a pattern on the floor. I just felt like I didn't want people to be kind of pushed out of the immersion of the picture by noticing, oh, it's Tsukuyomi's floor with artifact gear. So I made a conscious decision to avoid any background, concentrating instead on keeping this a universal sort of look. Anyways, this is my test video. Thank you for putting up with my voice. Hopefully in the future I'll actually be able to make more videos as I work on paintings. In the meanwhile, just stay posted to my Twitter if you'd like to know what I'm up to. And that's it. Thanks for listening. Bye.